I think I'm on Desmos right now too. I am. Okay, so let's say that I was going to, I don't know, let's say I was going to create my initials, first letter G. So here's what I would do. I'm thinking this from a block letter standpoint. I'm going to go like this, and maybe this, and then I'll come over here and then, make sense? So for me, a G, it's got quite a, if I'm going to go that route, I don't have to go that route. That's got 4 sets of diagonal lines. I don't have to do this way, but if I was going to do this, that's quite a few line segments that I need to create. Once I get the hang of this, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to create this one first. What kind of a line is that?
Vertical.
They're all going to be straight lines. It's vertical. That's right. So I'm going to just say, I want to create my vertical line over there on the left somewhere. Vertical lines always look like what? Vertical lines, if you tried to ski it, you would get X'd out. So I'm going to go X equals -6. Would you agree with me that that line is way too long? So I need to restrict the domain or the range to make it the appropriate length. And since this is a vertical line, I need to restrict the y's that it can take on. So here's how I do this. Please carefully watch. I am making a video of this, and I'll post this video too for later reference. Can you guys all find these fancy brackets? They're over there right above return. Okay. So I'm going to restrict my range. I'm going to say go from like -2 to 2. So check this out. If I go -2 is less than y is less than 2. Notice how instead of having this super long line, that's way longer than I want, it chops it down to where the y's are between -2 and 2. Does that make sense? Now it's the length that I want. Well, maybe I want to do this one next. Anybody have any suggestions on what I could do to make that blue part? These blue on the...
You do the same thing, but instead of -6, it'd be like -4.
There you go. Can I make it -5? But either way is fine. So if I went x equals -5, do you see how that's going to be like that inner part? How should I restrict my range? But like what number should I restrict it to? -2 to 2 makes sense still? Okay. So I'll go bracket, -2 is less than y, which is less than 2. I don't know. I'll just go all black on the letters for now. Actually, no. I'm going to go all blue because I have style. Oops. I'm trying to have style. I totally picked the color. There we go. Okay, so now I've got these 2 blue lines. Now I'm going to do my diagonal lines. I'm thinking I want to have these lines have a slope of 1. So why don't I go, here's where you can really play with these and kind of really learn how lines work. I'm going to just go y equals x. So do you see how that's a slope of 1? But it's like it's not in the right place at all. Where do I need to move it to get maybe I want to do this one right here? Where do I need to move that y equals x to in order to get it in that spot? Up or down? Okay, so maybe I just play with this. Maybe I'm like, okay, +4. That moved it up a little bit. Did it move it up enough? No, maybe I go +6. Maybe I go +8. Oh, there it is. Do you see how it just connected? So if I just kind of fiddle around with this and say, I want it to move up this far, down that far, I can get a lot of stuff figured out. But of course, this is way too long, right? I only need it to be this little part. So I need to restrict either my domain or my range. I'm going to restrict my domain. I'm going to say that I want this to go, check this out, I want this to go from -6 is less than x, which is less than 4. Oops, -4. You see how I just cut it off on that particular domain? Just from -6 to -4? you see how this is something that you can't just watch? Do you see how this is something that you need to actually do to understand? Are you ready to start doing?
Yes.
Anybody have any questions? All right, if questions do come up as we go through this, let me know. I will leave this up there. And if you guys don't have questions, I'll maybe come up here and just keep working on my letter, something like that, just so you can kind of see it developing. You guys will have the whole rest of this class, and then you'll have our extra long period on Tuesday. If you got to the end of our class period today and you were completely done with one of your letters, I would say that would be a pretty good place to be. Okay? If you're not quite there, I think that's still okay, but I bet you on Tuesday you'll be at least twice as fast as you were today. Bree, can I address your... No, it was Sasha's question. Sasha, you said, what if my letters in my name don't have slants? Right? So like, let's say the C in Cohen, right? So I can easily do that by doing something like this. I'll do this over there in the first quadrant, and I'll do this in a different color. So if I was going to do my C, instead of having the back of the C just be vertical, what if I made it kind of stylistic looking, and I said y equals, I'm going to go like, I don't know, 6x, I'll just go minus 2. And I will go from negative 2 is less than y is less than 4. And then I'll go y equals 6x minus 4. Now how about minus 6? And I'll go same domain restriction, so negative 2 less than y, oops. Negative 2 less than y less than 4. No, it's a C. So I'm going to go, I'll go negative 1 and 3. I'm going to turn this into a green letter. Okay, so this is the back of my C. And then maybe the top of my C would be, I don't know, this is where you can get into all kinds of stylistic things. I'll just make it horizontal. Make it horizontal, so I'll go y equals 4, and I'll restrict to maybe like 1 to 4. And then how about y equals 3, and I'll go 1.5 to 4. You see my C starting to take shape? It's really pretty, isn't it?
Yeah, so you can just like make.
Yeah, just like give it a little style, right? Because you could make a C which is like,
Okay.
right? So just give it something a little bit. You could even just make the ends. Like you could make a C like this. Check this out. You could say C, you have this just be straight up and down, but then you could go, that has 2 diagonals. And so there's all kinds of little stylistic things you could do, that being one of them, the thing on the whiteboard, something like that too.
How would you do it with an E?
How would you do an E?
You could
Yeah.
do the same thing, though.
Why not with an E? Yeah, like Chase's point is good. I mean, I would just encourage you to tap into your artistic skills. So maybe if you're just feeling totally uninspired, and there's your E, everything is either vertical or horizontal, right? Why not just go, there's your 2 diagonals. Looks pretty awesome, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You could even make the one in the middle pointy or something. I mean, there's kind of no limit to how creative you could or couldn't go with this. Just make some diagonals, make it look awesome. Yes, ma'am.
Figured it out. Never mind. Smart.
That looks great. You got 2. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You've done a nice job with those. Like I would encourage you to just try it. Did you see when I was making mine up there? Like there was a couple times I was like, oops,
Yeah.
It's because I tried it and I didn't like it. It's like, oh, I better change this number slightly to such and such. I'll just watch you.
Does it mean that I have to like have like this number here, just like or just?
You know, like I would say if it's where you want it to be, don't change anything.
Okay.
Of course, it's way too long, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say it's in a nice location, but it's way too long. So you're going to want to restrict your domain or range. You could, because this one's diagonal, you could restrict X's or Y's. Hey, one thing I forgot to mention, and you can do this right now. Looks like a lot of you are already in. You see in the upper right hand corner where it says green button, create account or sign in. You're going to want to be signed in here. So I can look, and Kate's already signed in. You can just sign in with your Google credentials, like your Valor Google credentials. Listen, you are absolutely going to want to be signed in because when we're done today, I'm going to have you save this in Desmos. So in the end, we're going to do a screenshot. Yes, that's how you're going to turn it in. But I'm guessing you probably won't be completely finished here in the next 25 minutes. So I'm going to want you to save this so that when you come back on Tuesday, you can just bring it back up and you still have your work. What's up?
How do I make this one like
Slanted
slanted, like way more?
way more?
Yeah, like the slope steeper.
Okay, so we're talking about this green line right here. Interesting how you wrote your equation. Why did you write, like all of them are y equals or x equals, and all of a sudden you've got, oh, because you were just playing with it, weren't you?
Yeah.
Interesting, okay. So let's go with that. You said, how do I make the slope steeper?
Yeah.
Which variable goes with slope?
Y.
No.
No, X.
Isn't it y equals mx? So right now your m looks like it's -1. So why don't you get in there between the negative and the x and type some number and just see what happens.
Oh, okay.
So that made it a lot steeper, but then it also moved it too far to the right, or maybe not, I don't know. I don't know what you're wanting to do with it, but yeah, so that definitely made it a lot steeper. But then you could play with the +3, like change that to like, I don't know, +1 or something and see what happens. Change it to like -5 and see what happens. You see, you get the hang of it?
Yeah.
So I encourage you just to like, literally just mess around with it and see if I do this, oh look, that's what that did, and that's what I wanted to do, and progressively work it over there towards where you want it. You can clearly see that you can use colors here. So creativity could be colors, it could be the graphic design piece. We're just trying to create something pretty and educational and hopefully fun. What's up? I think it should be -6 is less than some variable. So up here you've got like -2 is less than y, which is less than 2. So I think you're missing something there. Say again? I think you need to restrict your x's. There you go. So just chopped it off right there. And I don't know, you probably want to chop it off on the right somewhere. So I'm assuming you're doing your e right now, right? Yeah. So you could go less than -4. No, so you just did -4. It needs to be less than. Nope, you gotta get your less than right there. And then probably -4. So you might look at that and say, hey, that's too long or it's too short. Then you could like change your, put one part of your domain and make that part long. Does that make sense? Okay. I see a V happening on you. What's up?
So I shorten the X.
Interesting. I think you're going to want to do all your domains and ranges just like those. You're going to want to go. Oh, shoot.
Because it needs to be like the same with
What's the? Are you trying to make it look like this one?
yeah, just on the
Okay.
other side.
What's the lowest x value you want to have for that particular line? Like on the left, where do you want it to stop?
Negative.
Yeah. Don't you want this line to stop right there?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I would start off with -4 is less than. X. And then where do you want it to stop? And I would say which is less than. Negative 2? We'll try it out. Yeah.
What would you do?
Here's what I feel like. This is what I think you're doing is not necessarily terrible. I feel like you are trying to like get it all figured out in your mind first, instead of like saying, well, what if I tried that? Oh, that didn't work. Oh, but now I see it. I would rather you do the playing with it and messing up a bunch, but then eventually saying, oh my goodness, okay, I see how this works now, instead of just like trying to overanalyze it and like get it all figured out before you push any buttons. Push buttons. Hopefully it works. If not, we'll fix it. Yeah, this is your first challenge. Do you want? This is where you get to be stylistic. Do you want? Because obviously you're going to come up here to the top of your A, perhaps. Do you want this to be parallel to that one? Parallel lines have what kind of slopes? Right. Or maybe you don't want it to be parallel. I don't know. Like, this is where you get to make stylistic decisions. You are the artist. You figure out what's best for your design. Sarah, are you trying to get the diagonal on your end? Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So, okay, we're doing this. So, are you trying to get it to like connect over here? So, right now your y-intercept is 0, isn't it?
Yeah.
If this did connect right there, would your y-intercept be positive or negative? Yeah, so I'd come over here and I'd go, get behind the x there, and I'd go minus something. I don't really care at this point. Did that move it enough?
No.
Not even close. So maybe minus 10. Oh, not enough yet. Okay, how about minus 15? Yeah, there we go, not quite. There we go. No, now we're talking, look at that.
Yeah.
And now I would, if I were you, I'd restrict my domain or range. Range probably be easier here, right?
So
Negative on the remember range is y's, so I'd go -5 to 5. And look at that. So pretty.
yeah.
And then to be honest with you, I would just go through, you know, like do another part of your N or something, and just keep experimenting, and you'll figure it out. You'll eventually get really fast. You're doing pretty good. You'll get super fast. Okay, you got enough to work on?
Yep.
Okay. Sing some letters. S's are hard, Sasha. I'm so sorry. Is there anything I can help you with? Slanted. Okay. So then it can't be vertical anymore. So you're going to have to go back over here, and it's going to have to be y equals mx plus b. Or it doesn't even have to. You guys really could use point slope form. So check that here. This is so lovely. Check this out. I'll help you with this. So this seems to be really, really helpful. So this point right here is -4, 1. Right?
Yeah.
So check this out. If I want my line to go through -4, 1, I can do point slope form by going y minus 1 equals, and I don't have a slope yet. Okay, yeah, we'll figure that out here in a second. And the x plus 4. Check it out. Now maybe you don't want it to slope that way, but maybe you want it to be negative. Now we say my slope is -1. Or maybe you want it to be really steep, -2, or -5, I don't know.
Can I make it like a really small side? That's still that.
Yes, yeah, I'll leave it easy to decide.
Okay.
This is probably worth sharing with all you guys. So, let's say, I don't know. I'll tell you what. Let's say that on this part of my G right here, circle it. Let's say that I wanted to be super stylistic. This is probably so worth all of your time. So I want to make sure that I've got your attention, not because for any other reason other than this should be really helpful for you. So if I were to make this a horizontal line, that would not be hard to do at all. I could just come up here. Please, I really hope you're paying attention. This could be so helpful. I could just come up here and say y equals 4. I could restrict my domain, go like, -4 to 2. Oops, -2. And I'd have that. That looks fine. But let's say I looked at that and I thought, I want it to be stylish. I want this to have a little angle to it or something, right? So I could come back over here and say, well, I don't know about my range yet, but I want that line to be angled. But has anybody had any problems with this? Like you came in here and you were like, -1/2 x. Oops, not that. And then you were trying to like move it up and down, and it's kind of hard to move up and down because there's like fractions involved. So here's what I could do. Maybe I'll make this like -1/8 x, even tougher. So this is going to be really difficult for me to figure out exactly where to go unless I use point slope form. So let me help you with how to do this. Let me draw on this real quick. Would you guys agree with me that this point right here is -4, 4?
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be smart if I could make my diagonal line go through that point? So check out what I can do. This is where point slope form is super powerful. Instead of writing y equals -1/8 x and trying to guess what the y-intercept should be, I'm going to go y minus 4. It already looks better, doesn't it? Equals -1/8 parentheses x plus 4. I made it go through the point -4, 4. Right? That's where those letters would actually join. And by using point slope form, no longer do I have to do a million guesses to get it right. I don't even know. Maybe the y-intercept might actually be decent there. It worked out pretty nicely. I didn't know that right off the bat, though. But I didn't need to because I used point slope form. So it encourages you to really consider using that because I think it makes it easier, especially when you're dealing with wacky fractions, trying to get it all lined up. At that point, of course, I could still restrict my domain. Maybe, I don't know, yeah, -4 to 2 or something. Or -4 to -2. And I've got it. So, yeah, seriously consider, nice K. Seriously consider using point slope form to help get things lined up. Should make life easy for you. And please, I said it earlier, make sure you're signed in so you can save this thing when you're done. Yes, ma'am.
So I tried to make this small because of the line.
I tried to make it small, but what?
This line, you just,
Sure. And you're trying to restrict it to just that?
Just the one.
So you want to restrict the x's, right?
Yes.
From where to where?
From -6 to -5.
Go ahead and type that in. Let's see what it looks like. If that works, I come over and just instantly works. Yeah. And I didn't really help you. I just said, what do you want to restrict? You said the x's, then you did it. It's good work.
Oh, I forgot. I think I just forgot the X there.
Okay. All these ranges and domains, they should look the same.
Okay.
Right? It's going to be something is less than x or y,
Okay.
which is less than something else. I think they're all going to look like that. Yeah. And I think point slope would really help you for connecting here, right?
Yes.
Because you know that it goes, like you want, like whatever this line's doing, you want it to go through -5, 2. And so you should be able to put that into point slope, get the slope whatever you want. It should be good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. What's up, Julia? Nice. We got a J going. Sure. Oh. Yeah, well, point slope is exactly what the doctor ordered for us. So you wanted to go, say, through this point right here. Okay, so let's just focus on this point, then we'll handle the slope later. So what are the coordinates for that thing, that blue line right there? Yep. So -5, -7, so we go y plus 7. You just put equals. It's okay. Y plus 7 equals, and then go parentheses, x, what was it, plus 5, right? Look at that. Now we gotta fix our slope, so go back to the front parentheses. And I'm gonna just count the slope up here. I'm gonna say that it's up 1, 2, 3, right 2. So my rise is 3, my run is 2. Oh my goodness, there we go. And then just restrict your domain or range, whatever you, in this instance is diagonal, you can restrict either one you find. I think you just put, you wanna put the low number in first. So how low do you want it to go as far as the axes? No, as far as the, are you doing x's or y's? But are you gonna restrict your x's or your y's? Okay, so the lowest x would be -5, right? Yep, and then what's your height value? What you want to stop? Yeah. There you go. Nice J. Okay, question.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
I know that the rise and run for this is
Yep.
like X1.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to get the.
So I think what I was showing you up there with the whole point slope thing is totally what the doctor ordered. This is exactly what you want to do. So let me just put this pencil here. So you got this slope, you're like, I think the slope is 1, and that looks pretty reasonable. But don't you want this line to go through, say, that point,
Mhm.
right? So go over here and erase your domain there and scroll, get rid of that -2 and the plus. Arrow over one more, don't delete over, put a parentheses right there. And then go there, okay, close parentheses. Now go over to the y side. Go just to the left of the equal sign, perfect. Nope, to the left of the, yeah, exactly right. So, what are the coordinates for that point that we want to go through?
-2.
You-
-6.
Backwards, there you go. Okay, so you want to go through -6, -2. So actually it's gonna be y plus 2, right? Remember how point slope is y minus y coordinate? So y minus -2 would really be y plus 2. And you said -6 on the x, so it'd be x plus 6. Oh, score!
Okay.
Look at that. You see how awesome point slope is?
Mhm.
Instead of trying to guess, you can put it right where you want it. Now we restrict our range or our domain, whatever you feel is best,
Okay.
whatever's easier for you. Any negative numbers in there, for sure. So you can do your y's. So -2 is less than y. Well, you can just go right there. Just go shift. Less than y. Okay, it was less than, and where do you want it to end? Vertically speaking. Yeah, what's the y coordinate there? No, I want the y coordinate, not the x coordinate. So you did
Oh.
-2 up to,
Well,
sorry, negative, yeah. Try that one. Yay, looking good. That make sense?
yeah,
Are you a point slope convert yet?
yeah.
Okay, Grace had his hand up for a little while. Hang on just a second, I'll be right back. So I'm noticing that a lot of you are getting pretty close to being done with a letter. This is so good. What can I do for you? Oh, like this way?
Like to that point,
Okay, gotcha. So make your slope negative for sure.
So then you have to change.
That's your y-intercept actually. Your slope is the number attached to the
You
x.
sure
just arrow over, there you go, arrow, yeah, right there, good. Whew, that totally changed it, huh? Can I give you a hopefully helpful suggestion? Point slope, you're hooked on the slope intercept here? I think you should do point slope. So point slope is this, y minus a y coordinate equals m times x minus an x coordinate. And the reason why I think this is so useful is because you can tell the line what point you want it to go through. And we want it to go through this point, don't we? Yeah, but we for sure want to go through that. Okay, and we'll handle the other one here in a second. So what are the coordinates for that point? Coordinates for that point, right? -9, comma, what? Got it. Okay. So here's what you could do. I'm gonna have you erase all this for the moment. Just click out of that. So you said -9, 8. Okay, so if I'm going through -9, 8, what I can do is come up here and I'm gonna write y minus the y coordinate equals, and I'm just gonna leave the m blank for the moment. And then it's gonna be x minus, but really minus a -9 is really +9. I would put that in there first. Let's see what we got.
Okay, that's my C.
Oh, these should just be parentheses, not the fancy brackets. There you go. Okay, so good news is it's going through the point I want to go through. It's going to go the other way, right? So right now this has a slope of +1, right? Because it's 1 times the parentheses. Oh, no, put it on the outside of the parentheses. Notice on your point slope form, the m is outside, and there it is. So do you see how with this, once you get it set up where it's going through the point that you want it to go through, all you have to do is then fix your slope to where you want the slope to be pointed. And then restrict your, since it's diagonal, you can restrict either your x's or your y's. Either way is fine. Is that helpful? Yep. Yep, and then you're just gonna fill in, I don't know if you're gonna restrict your x's or your y's. Like I said, I don't think it really matters since it's diagonal. Are you restricting x's or y's? So I would say, where do you want it to end right there? Okay, so that's a y value of 7. So I'd say 7 is less than y. You can do what you're going. 7 is less than y, which is less than, and then the y coordinate up there is 8. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. All right, Katie, what's up? Yep.
On line that it's in, I think I typed something in and it gave me another screen. I don't know if I gave.
Oh. So you said your slope was -24x. So the problem, my friend, is you didn't just graph a line. You just graphed something called a parabola. Notice how all of your other slopes are they're just a constant. Like your slope is 17, 18, 13, 13, 24x. I just you can get rid of that x. Right? Now, yeah, you're still not quite lined up there, but at least you don't have a second part of that graph. Okay, okay, so Julia had a question earlier. Oh, there you go, Ella, that's looking awesome.
Hey, that's what, okay, how do you?
Okay, the problem is you have going through the wrong point. You're trying to do this one? So it's not gonna go through the point, it's not going through this point or that point. What's the coordinates to that point? Yep, so I would start off with y plus 7 equals, open parentheses, x plus 10. Like this will guarantee that it'll go through that point. Okay? But do you want the slope to be that? Yeah, negative what? Well, count your boxes. What's the rise? This is 1, 2. Rise 2, run 3. Bingo. Okay. Gotcha. What's up? Oh. Why equals, so, okay. We're just gonna call that style points. Sasha's version of style. Okay, so this has to go through either this, you have to think of it as going through this point or going through that point. Hang on one second. Hey guys, this is gonna be a really crucial moment because you just spent like 35 minutes or so working really hard to build your first letter. And if you don't save it, and then you turn off your computer later, you shut Chrome down later, you're gonna lose all the work you just put into this. So you need to be signed in as you, and you need to save it. And I encourage you to call it something useful like Initials Project or Algebra 1 Project. Save it so you can come back to it later. Did you get done with 1?
No.
Almost done with the C?
Almost done with the C.
Okay, awesome. Hey, if you guys are done, you're ready to go, you can stick around for a while if you want, I'd be happy to help you. Michelle, before you go,
Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
Just a minute.
Mr.
So far so good, except your T doesn't have any slates.
Well, that's not the together.
Oh, Jay,
So
it's
I'm
gonna,
gonna do the J.
there we go, there we go.
I think good.
So it needs to go through, say like, this is negative 5, 1.5. Okay, so I did it for, oh no, you did, sorry, you did negative 6, you did negative 6. So see, so if you're trying to do this, you don't want the line going through those points. If you're trying to do this, you need to reset the point. So like this point up here, like the lower black line, isn't that negative 6?
And now we have an
So we need to move it.
Thank God we just I'm out, baby.
Thank you, Mr. So this is actually going to work out pretty nicely.
Yeah, I didn't
You need to totally change your range restrictions. You want to go from like 1.5 to positive 2. So I'd make this 1.5 with a high value of positive 2. And I bet you it'll jump right up there.
Yep. Yep, never. How do you screenshot?
How do you screenshot? First of all, save it.
Because I don't know. I didn't want to.
Well, you can still do it. Try it real quick. Go sign in. And just sign in with Google. There you go. Get your $1 thing going. There you go. Perfect. Sure that accept. Come up here and title draft. Click on the untitled part. Call it project, whatever's going to be useful for you. Caroline, how you doing over there?
I think I got it now, but I'm just confused on how to go. I'm doing the C, I just don't know how to go like this way down.
Okay, I can help you real quick if you want. Did you save it? So is this a map?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, there's a grab tool, there's a couple of screenshot tools, it's like Command 9, I bet your classmates will know, there's like some keyboard shortcut.
Okay.
What's up?
I know I don't want to go down.
Okay, so I think this would be where point slope is super awesome. So, like this, into this red line segment there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia.
Bye.
The coordinates, let's see where, what's the coordinate right there? Go ahead and click on that, there we go. So it's like, it was like -7.7, comma, -2. So I would use point slope, so come down here, -7.7. So I go y plus 2 equals, open parentheses, x plus 7.7. Okay, so notice how we need to fix the slope for sure. No, not yet, no, not yet. We need to fix the slope because the slope is not right at all, but you see how it goes through the points you want now.
Yeah.
The slope is obviously positive
Oh my
1,
gosh.
right? So if you look at your point slope up there, the y minus the y coordinate equals m times x minus the x coordinate. So we need to change the m. You see how the m would be like right between the equals and the parentheses? Maybe keep coming up right between the equals and the parentheses. There you go. Let's just make it negative, right? Because negative will make it what we need. Is that what you want? Maybe, I don't know if you want it to be that steep. Maybe you want it to be 1/2. There's 1/6. You can make it really steep and make it. Yeah.
And how do I make it so that short?
So you want to restrict your x's or your y's. You can choose how you want to do that. So open up one of those fancy brackets over there. There you go. So let me just ask you where you're going. You want to restrict the x's or you're going to restrict the y's? No. But do you want to restrict it using y values or restrict it using x values? You can go either way since it's diagonal.
Let's do X.
Okay. So what's the lowest x? We want it to start right there. So what is that, like negative? That's that -7.7, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'd go -7.7 is less than x. There we go. Is less than x. Oh, look at that. Start with look at your graph. Is less than. Now where do you want it to end? That's too long. Maybe I don't know. -4 perhaps. You see what it's doing now? Oh, there it is now. It matches the other one.
Yay. Alright.
Okay, that's what you want to do.
And then I should move the other side. Okay. Alright, perfect.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so you think I'm guessing on Tuesday, you're probably going to be like twice as fast because you've got some stuff figured out. We can always review these things too.
Alright.
Is that good?
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. You bet.